Hi, thanks for joining us for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. I'm Chris Cooper. Ask any gardener what are their biggest problems and weeds will certainly be on the list. Today it's the Q&A show, but with a twist. Every question is about weeds. That's just ahead on the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South.
Production funding for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South is provided by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to the Family Plot. I'm Chris Cooper. Weeds are a fact of life for every gardener. Just when you have everything looking perfect, you notice a weed. And as you are pulling that one, it seems that two more appear. Today, we're going to spend the whole time catching up on viewer questions about those pesky plants. Let's start with a question about what many consider to be the world's worst weed, nutsedge. I have limited sun in my yard and used to grow prolific tomatoes in this sunny 10 by 12 foot area until nutgrass arrived. So, like other weeds, I proceeded to pull the nutgrass. Little did I know the next year I had more nutgrass because I pulled the tops and encouraged the corms on the ground. I tried newspaper, 4 inches of mulch, cardboard, raised beds to no avail. I've also sprayed a sedge spray, but it is too close to the tomatoes to effectively use spray. I know I can dig 8 to 10 inches and dispose of the soil and corms, not feasible. How can I get rid of nutsedge? And this is Erica from Yorktown, Virginia. Very detailed question. I like that. So have you had any experience with nutsedge or nutgrass, as some people call it?
Has she considered dynamite?
Has she considered dynamite? There you go, Eric.
It's
Have
hard.
you considered that?
Hard to get rid of.
It is very difficult to get rid of, all right? And it has tubers. Instead of the corms, the nutlets are tubers, okay, which feeds the plant, like carbohydrates and such. Yeah, so your best bet is going to be to try to dig it out.
Yes.
I mean, that's your best bet, because she's right. If you just pull it, you leave, those nutlets in the ground, well, yes, there's plenty more underground where that comes from.
Yes.
So you definitely want to try to get all of the root system as you possibly can. But she said it was too close to use a spray, but you know what I would do though? I would use the wipe technique, right? So I would pour that concentrate into a little lid, little container, right? Dip my paintbrush, a little piece of sponge, and I would get in between those tomatoes and I would actually wipe that sedge spray, right? Or that sedge concentration on the nutsedge and see if that can be effective for you, right? So anything, halosaffron, imazaquin, controls sedges very well. Just read and follow the label. But that's what I would do. If you really want to get rid of it, right? Because spraying 2-gallon container, you might get drift, you might affect your tomatoes. But again, if you use that wipe technique,
And it's
paintbrush,
fussy to do, but you can do it.
You can do it.
And it's easier than digging down 12 inches of soil.
Yeah, she said that's not feasible.
Right.
She did say it's not feasible. So that's what I would do. Yeah, so piece of sponge or paintbrush or a little rag or something like that. Just kind of dip it and grab it and just wipe it.
Gloves. Wear gloves.
Right, wear gloves. Right, wear gloves. Read and follow the label. And I think that'll get you, Miss Erica. So, yeah, a little short of dynamite, but it'll get you, right? I have lots of monkey grass growing all over my yard. I want to create a monkey grass free bed. How long must I wait after killing the monkey grass and digging up the roots before I can put in new plants? What type of barrier should I use around a flower bed to keep monkey grass out? This is Lenny from St. Louis, Missouri. Oh boy.
This one made me think about all of the variety that I have growing in random places in my yard.
Oh, so you have? Okay.
Yes, yes.
All right.
I think that anybody who has a home that had any landscaping done in the 80s or 90s was required to have laripe.
That sounds so true. That sounds so true. Wow. So look, we don't know what he used, to try to kill it or whatever the case may be. But I'll tell you this: you better dig deep.
Right.
You better get all the roots.
Yeah.
All right.
So good storage in those, underground structures, and so it's going to make it hard to get good fast. kill on, on anything.
Yeah.
Physical measures.
Physical measures
may come into play.
It may come into play. You got that right. Yeah. So yeah, depending on what he used or whatever he did, yeah, we don't know how long it's going to take. We don't know what time of the year he did that. Whatever the case may be.
Season, right?
Right. Yeah.
Whether the plant is, how it's actively translocating. There's lots of factors.
Yeah, we don't know that. But again, I'm just going to go back to it because I've done this. This is an experience for me. Just digging, trying to get it out and get out of the root system. Now, as far as a barrier,
I would be hesitant to suggest anything because I just feel that it would have a lower chance of success.
No edging, I know, would do the trick.
Yeah.
Concrete footers? No. No.
I mean, it would need to be deep. It would need to be
deep.
essentially impermeable. It would be tough.
It'd be tough. Yeah. It's almost like talking about bamboo.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know any type of physical barrier.
I think removal.
Yeah, removal.
Yeah.
Right. Just removal. Yeah. So, Liddy, you're gonna have your work cut out for you. Yeah. So sharpen that shovel up and just get all of the root system up as you possibly can. Right. And maybe consider something else.
Yeah, it's good exercise. We should say that there are different Loriope species, some are more aggressive, shall we say?
Right. Some are more aggressive.
Others. So
Yeah. Your clump form may stay there. Some might run away from you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be work. How can I kill wiregrass and monkey grass? I don't know what the actual grass name is, but it runs everywhere and is real wire. I like that. Patricia from Gastonia, North Carolina. So yes, she wants to kill wiregrass and monkey grass. So we're gonna go again to our turf expert here. What's wiregrass?
Well, one thing, wiregrass is really Bermuda grass and got into that in there. But whatever you decide to use on there, you might want to see what's in there, but whatever you use on there, I would start off small before I spread on there. I do a little small area just to make sure it don't kill my monkey grass in there because you don't want to spray it and it kill everything. But there is a herbicide you can spray on there just to get rid of it. I want to say Bermuda grass. The wiregrass is the same thing. Wiregrass, Bermuda grass, I use monkey grass in there.
Right. Sure. I like the fact she says it's real wire. Real
wire.
And I'll jump in here, Peter, for this one. So wiregrass, of course, Bermuda, and monkey grass. Monkey grass is not a true grass. It's a lily. It's in the lily family. It's a lily turf, right? So there are a couple of chemicals that you can use to spray over the top of the monkey grass that won't affect the monkey grass, like Ornament, Grass Be Gone, Fusilade 2. Right. So those contain active ingredients, right, that are selective. It only targets the Bermuda, but it releases everything else, right? So it releases the monkey grass. Just read and follow the label on that.
Yeah.
But I do like the test idea.
Test idea, just smell the area before you do all of it. You don't want to have. Just read the label, like he said.
Right.
Read the label. Might be a temperature gauge on there that you might want to use on there.
It definitely will be. And something else I would do too. You can just use the wipe technique. Right. Get you a piece of sponge, a little paintbrush or something like that, dip it in there and just kind of wipe it on there and just go that route. Instead of spraying everything. Right. And that will get down into the root systems and this should take care of that way. Don't laugh at me, Mr. Lee, but my front yard faces a highway with a slope and has Bermuda and torpedo grass. I'm content to have both, but crabgrass has started to move in. What can I use to kill crabgrass but leave torpedo and Bermuda grass alone? And this is Dwayne on YouTube. So there you go, Mr. Lee.
Okay.
Just for you. So yeah, how do you control the crabgrass without harming the Bermuda and torpedo grass?
One thing you have a really good thick turf that'll crowd out lots of it and everything.
Okay.
Try to put me a pre-emerge down to try to get rid of the crab before it begins to germinate.
Okay.
In there. Now, a long time ago, you had, I don't know, still if I can find it, MSMA. You put that, you might not be finding, I don't know if you can find MSMA or not right now. But what did you track quality?
For the post-emerge, you have to use quinchloride.
Quinchloride, okay.
Yeah, before the pre-emerge is dithiopyr or pentamethylin.
Pentamethylin,
right.
You read and follow the label on there and everything. Now, a lot of time when you're pre-emerge herbicide, you probably need to be watered in once you put it down, so you need to read the label on there, because you can't put it down there and it'll give you so many days that you need to water that in there. So, and I like to put mine down when I know it's going to rain. I don't want to get that water, no grass in there.
And then watch your toxicity also for the animals, reading the labels for the animals.
Right.
Whether they can eat any of it or even be on it for X amount of time.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
Read that
'cause
label.
that's going to be on the label. You're exactly right.
Right, yeah.
Right. Exactly right.
Yeah, for your animals and your pets and everything like that. Yeah.
No, I've used MSMA, and I know it has some restrictions. It has grazing restrictions. So.
Okay, yeah.
Again, why it's always important to read the label.
Read the label on there to make
follow the
sure,
label.
yeah.
You know, crabgrass is a summer annual, grass. Now, when you put down the pre-emerge, I mean, you can put it down in the spring, early, and you would target the growth or forsythia, because when forsythia starts to grow, that means the soil is warm enough for crabgrass to start germinating.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And that's one of the first ones too.
Right, it's one of the first ones to come out, and that
Yes.
and that thing kind of varies from year to year depending on the temperature.
We all notice that because it's yellow and it's early.
That's right.
So it's time to treat crabgrass then.
Right, so you can put
Gotcha.
down your pre-emerge, at that time, and then read and follow the label, and it'll tell you when to put it out again. How can I get rid of milkweed? It has taken over my flower garden. The roots keep on and on. Thanks for your advice. This is Delana. So what do you think about that one, Joella? Yeah, the roots just go on and on and on. Right?
That was what milkweed does, and it's got an aggressive rhizomous root system, and that just keeps going and going. And and to deplete that, that's a lot of foliage you got to eliminate. And you can, if you wanted to, you could cut it. Otherwise, you can put some kind of herbicide on it. But it's taking over her flower garden. Yeah, if she did put any kind of herbicide on it, she would have to do the glove or the sponge.
Yeah, the wipe technique.
By wiping it just on the leaves and not getting on anything else. But she could just keep cutting the foliage. If you just keep simply cutting, you don't have to pull it. You just keep, because I don't think you can with all the rhizomes. But if you could just keep cutting it, you might be, as it keeps coming out, you're going to keep dwindling its carbohydrate reserve, and it will eventually go away. But it might take years to do that.
It probably would take a lot of years. And I'd like to know which milkweed it is, because there are so many milkweeds.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like that. Another question we had some time back about the hollyhocks. Maybe it needs to be a hollyhock bed or a milkweed bed. If it's the butterfly weed, if it's that one, that's the great monarch butterfly, host plant. So, I think I would. I don't know. It's a bad problem.
Right.
It's almost like kudzu. You know.
Yeah, and I know in some. That's why this particular weedy milkweed has, dwindled, because it is so aggressive.
Yeah.
And so that makes there be less of it around on roadsides and things like that for the butterflies. But it is an aggressive weed.
A lot of work. Yeah.
We have an introduced one too. That I had to get it out of my garden. I can't remember the name of it, but I bet you know, Chris. It's the one that a lot of nurseries.
It's the tropical one.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Okay.
it is. And it kind of goes a little bit aggressive
over
too.
and-
Yeah.
okay.
Well, more so than I would want.
Right.
But everybody has their own control issues
Right.
with things in their garden.
Yeah.
Right. So that's gonna be tough. That's
Yeah,
gonna be tough.
yeah, it is.
And there are a lot of milkweeds that aren't thugs in their garden.
Right,
I mean, those are the ones like the Asclepias that I use.
Yeah, the butterfly
little,
weed,
Little,
yeah.
Right.
That works just as well.
Yep.
All right, Delana. Yeah. Got your work cut out for you.
Yes.
Yeah. So pull. Yeah. Because those roots are going to keep going on and on and on.
They will.
Am I the only person struggling with this stinking plant? This stuff grows so fast, it's a daily chore. I've never seen it till it killed half my backyard. It seems to steal all the water. The patches in my yard have cracks in the soil all around where it grows. The green picture is the plant in infant stages. Once it grows slightly larger than that, it starts growing over the top of the grass, leaving nothing behind, just dry soil. The purple one is after a few days of interaction with MSM turf. If I left it alone, it would eat the entire yard. What is this? What nutrients is it depleting? No grass will even grow easily after it's been there. It's almost like it kills the grass and contaminates the soil after. Wow. And this is David. Love the explanation, right? Look, we thank you for the picture.
Yes, thank you.
Corn Speedwell is what that is. Corn Speedwell. It's a winter annual broadleaf weed.
Yes.
All right. But guess what condition it likes to grow in? When you have soils that are low in fertility and high in soil moisture, it's going to love you. It's going to try to take over.
So he needs to do a soil test and fertilize his yard to make sure that the grass. Now he's in Kentucky, so
Right.
it might be a bunch type grass, the fescues or the Kentucky 31s that he has, and that's going to be a different type of fertility that he's going to need on those versus what we have further south as in Bermudas and Zoysias.
Yeah, and the Zoysias, right.
But the soil test and it will tell him what is lacking and what he can put down. The only thing I'm concerned about is I don't think he's spraying it with the correct
Right, because
herbicide.
Yeah, he's using MSM turf, which controls some broadleaf weeds, but it controls more grasses than weeds.
Yeah.
Right. So
I
I would suggest using the 3-way herbicides, right? The broadleaf weed killers, something that contains 2,4-D, MCPP, dicamba, read and follow the label. It's going to be multiple applications, right? But that should slow down your corn speedwell. But something else I'll let go back to that you mentioned. I always like to talk about cultural practices first.
Yes.
Right. So soil tests, you're going to
Yes.
fertilize according to your soil test. Make sure you're watering efficiently. But guess what? The third thing is make sure you're mowing at the right height.
Yeah.
That makes a difference as well. And something else too about corn speedwells, I'm sitting here thinking about it, can actually grow in shady conditions. So make sure you have the right grass for the right situation.
Oh, that's true.
Right. So that's something else, Mr. David, that I, think about as well.
Because he says that it's in bare spots.
Yeah, some bare
so,
spots.
So, I mean,
right.
bare spots, is it under a tree?
Yeah.
So that maybe he needs to change what's growing under there because
it
it's
could
the
be.
wrong grass for that area? Or is it just that he hasn't overseeded? Because in that part of the country, they'll overseed, the rise in the fescues and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The Kentucky's bluegrasses, once or twice a year. So is it not thick enough that it's keeping the other weeds out?
Which
And then,
cultural practice, right.
and this is the problem. So you want to put pre-emergence down to control the seeds from the weeds,
Right.
but you can't do that and seed it also.
Right.
You have to not use pre-emergence if you're going to keep seeding grass in that area.
Exactly right. So the grass, if you're going to use, if you're going to seed it, okay, we want to make sure that the seeds do come up. But you can't use a pre-emerge. Now, a pre-emerge that you can use to control corn speedwell is going to be something like dithiopyr. You're going to read and follow the label. Pendimethalin is another one that you can use, but make sure that those, seeds have germinated. They've been up for a little while before you apply a pre-emerge.
Right.
All right. So, but you can use a pre-emerge. Just make sure the seeds
timing
are up.
has got to
right.
be
Timing
right.
is everything. So pre-emerge.
Let your seed,
Okay.
if you're going to
And
put
a
down
post-emerge.
seed, put seeds down first, let them come up,
them come up.
then put pre-emergent down
Right.
for the other weeds.
Right. And again, dithiopyr or pendimethalin, or, of course the weeds are already there, so you have to use a broadleaf weed herbicide. Is there a way to get rid of morning glories permanently? They grow alongside of my vegetable garden and seem to smother it out as the summer goes on. Thanks. This is Chrissy from southwestern Pennsylvania. So what do you think about that, Doc? Permanently.
Permanently.
Morning glories are tough.
I don't know.
Try to get rid of
Permanently, I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's gonna be tough.
She just has to keep, and she's exactly right. This time of year, they're twining around everything. And you have to follow the vine back and find, I'm just go through and hand pull them up.
Right.
But you definitely want to do that before they set their seed.
Right.
And they have a pretty extensive root system. So sometimes you can't get all the roots, and I think they can come up from
And
the
they're
roots.
perennial, yeah.
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 So they're tenacious, and they are hard to control. And pre-merge, in the areas that you can put a pre-merge
Right.
if you're not
Yeah.
relying on germination of other plants.
That's a good point.
Right.
Because that's going to affect that as well. But
for sure.
she just needs to be tenacious about it herself and just stay after them.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, Jordan, especially
Yeah,
because
it
it's
is.
growing alongside a vegetable garden.
Yeah,
So you don't want to
that's-
use,
Yeah, I was thinking
Yeah.
you could
Herbicides.
spray something on it, but I
Yeah.
thought, well, it's by the vegetable
Yes,
garden. She
vegetables.
doesn't want to spray that on it.
Yeah.
Can you get a weed eater out there and
I thought
mow
a
them
tractor
down.
with a bush hog, depending on how big it is.
right, big it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
just
mow
keep 'em
over
cut
'em or-
down. Yeah, I saw
try
that
to-
too.
try
I
to
thought, well, just
cut as much of it as you can. I mean, even if you went out, I mean, I don't know how large this
Yeah.
is, but if
Right.
it's only a 30-foot wide or a 20-foot wide garden, or even 10-foot, I mean, you could go along there with hand clippers and just cut them all off.
Right.
so there was
Or-
that seed anyway.
Right, or
You know,
could
take
you
care of that.
wipe? Can you grab some of those and
Yeah,
use
you
the
could.
wipe
Yeah.
technique with a
You
glove?
Could, or
Yeah.
the sponge technique.
Depending on the area.
Yeah, depending on the area.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could
Yeah.
do that
Yeah.
as well to
Could
kind
do
of slow
that.
it down. But yeah,
It would slow it down, yes.
morning
But
glories are tough.
you know, there's a lot of carbohydrates
Yes.
for that, with that in the system,
Rhizomes.
especially if it's been an ongoing problem for her, and she's just going to have to keep at it, and she might try the wipe technique with the glyphosates,
Right.
and the more you can get rid of, the less that comes up. You just got to keep at it year after year.
Yeah.
And it's
She
going to
can-
take several years.
Yeah, I use in my vegetable garden.
Okay.
Once I get things germinated, like my beans and squash, that's when I go back and put some kind of pre-emergent.
Yeah.
Get the garden all clean, get what you want germinated, and then put that out there. And that will slow it down from germinating with seed.
Right.
If it's roots there, it's not going to impact that at all. But she might look at that next year when she plants her vegetable garden, let everything get germinated, and then I always come back in with some product like Preen.
Praying, that's good.
Yeah, and it works pretty good.
Can you kill black locust plants with a hack and spray technique? This is Karen on YouTube. So the old black locusts, right?
Well,
Which has
there's
got to be invasive.
There's some nice black locust varieties, but there's a lot of them that are definitely weed trees and need to be gotten rid of. And yeah, he can do that, but yeah, it's going to take a while because it depends on how big the trees are
Yeah,
too.
so that's what I was going to mention. Yeah, it depends on the size of the tree. I mean, if you can get them when they're
Really small,
Small, yeah.
inch to 2 inches would be best, but
Yeah.
or even smaller.
smaller, right? I mean, those can be dug up pretty easily.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
could be dug up.
Yeah, if they're bigger than that, then yeah, you're gonna have to do the old hack or cut,
yeah.
and then you're gonna have to paint, that surface area, the stump, of course, with, a product that contains something like glyphosate or triclopyr.
Yeah.
Is what you're gonna have to do.
Yes.
And then just hope that works for you. But
And,
yes,
and it may stand up because the root system may say, "Oh, well, this
It might
this
still
one
try to
has
push 'em out.
decided to not live because of what you've done to it." So, but the other roots will say, "Oh, hey, we can come up here." So it's going to be, it's going to take some time.
yeah, you got to be persistent with that. But yeah, the smaller the better.
The smaller the better.
Because that way you can just try to dig them out, pull them up. But yeah, that root system is going to be key because it'll resprout.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, the
Yes.
hack and spray technique will work.
Will work. It's just
Right.
going to take some time.
It's just gonna take
and
some
you're
time.
it's going to regenerate, and you'll say, "It's been a month, and I thought I had it all,"
Right.
and then something else will come up. But you just get it right away.
Right. And then, with those two products, if there is a big, black locust, you could do foliar applications. I mean, that's still going to take some time.
Still going to take time.
Yeah, right. With the triclopyr, the glyphosate, or anything it contains glyphosate, foliar application, but it's still going to take a little bit
Yeah.
more time, for it to, translocate down into the root system.
Right.
So either way you go.
Either way, it's going to take some
It's
time.
going to take a little bit. Yeah, be persistent, Karen. What would be your recommended weed and feed for a St. Augustine lawn? Thanks for your help. This is Ron from New Orleans, right? Where they have St. Augustine
Nolans,
grass.
that's
Yeah,
right.
Nolans, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so what do you think about that one?
Well, I spent 12 years in Mobile.
I was about
which
to say,
is on
you down-
It's
you-
on about the
yeah,
same latitude
yeah,
as St. Augustine. And, weed and feed is, they're good products, and, you put them out there, one application, it's simple.
It's just simple.
But it's my experience with St. Augustine centipede lawns and most lawns that you need to control weeds when you need to control weeds.
Aye, man. That's
And
exactly
you need
right.
you need to apply fertilizer when you need to apply fertilizer. And one thing you don't want to do on a St. Augustine lawn is put a weed and feed out in the fall. Because you're fertilizing that lawn in the fall, and you get a flush of new growth, and you get that first killing frost, and you kill your you can kill or damage your St. Augustine.
Very sensitive to cold weather.
So, you know, I would say use the herbicide that you need to use to control the weeds that you need to use at the right time. And then you can apply herbicides in the fall, and you can apply herbicides in the spring. You can apply herbicides in the summertime. You know, atrazine is probably I noticed back when I was down in Mobile and in the 90s, 80s and 90s, it was the #1 herbicide. And even now, it's still one of the best herbicides. It kills 32, 35 broadleaf weeds in St. Augustine lawns. But, and you can put it out, you know, it's a pre-emergent. You know, you can put it out in the fall. But fertilizer out when you need to fertilize, and herbicide when you need. Now that's my opinion.
No, that's mine too as well. So my thing is this. So yeah, I would go to my local extension office. Make sure you get the soil tested, fertilize according to your soil test.
Exactly.
Right, is what I would do. Okay.
Exactly.
And then control the weeds when they need to be controlled. I will use a pre-emerge. You just talked about one. Pendimethalin is another one that you can use in St. Augustine grass. I would use that.
That's right.
Yeah. Read and follow the label.
Exactly.
And then, of course, your cultural practices. Make sure, you're fertilizing according to the soil test, watering appropriately, right?
Right.
Mowing at the right height. Yeah.
That's right.
Because if you do that, that'll crowd out those weeds, Mr. Ron.
It's all part of the picture.
It's all part of the picture. Remember, we love to hear from you. Send us an email or letter. The email address is familyplot@wkno.org, and the mailing address is Family Plot, 7151 Cherry Farms Road, Cordova, Tennessee 38016. Or you can go online to familyplotgarden.com. That's all we have time for today. Thanks for sending in the questions. Hopefully we gave you some information that will help you keep the weeds a little more under control in your garden. To learn more about anything we talked about today, go to familyplotgarden.com. And while you're there, you can ask us your gardening questions about weeds or anything else. Thanks for watching. I'm Chris Cooper. Be sure to join us next week for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. Be safe.